What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Under the Hood podcast with me, Jonathan Hood. That's my crazy cousin, Wiley. And we are here to talk to you about the Bulls and the NBA and what is going on with this trade deadline. What did not happen with this trade deadline? We got the Super Bowl right around the corner. So we got a lot to talk about here on this Under the Hood podcast. Cuzzo, how are you, sir?
Cuzzo, I'm doing good. One more hop, I think I'll be on top.
Okay. Well, I don't care what you do in your personal life. I don't care who got that's none of my business. And not the audience either, by the way. Listen, we have got merchandise here for the Under the Hood podcast. We ask you, first of all, if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Twitch, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. If you're listening to our podcast, share it out. And we're talking Chicago sports, everything in between, the most unique combination that you'll hear or watch, and that is cousin Wiley and yours truly, JHood. Like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And boy, our subscribers are going up on YouTube. We want you to continue to hit that subscribe button. That way you never know when I'm on a lake someplace and want to be able to do a video on the Bulls, or if I'm pissed off about something that's happening or something I'm happy about, I might just record right then and there in the car wash. I might be at Buddy Bear Car Wash and have a sports take. So that's why you'll be on YouTube, and check it out. YouTube.com. Look for the Under the Hood podcast. Because we've got merchandise as well.
So as you get, if you're watching, as you can see, we have the Under the Hood hoodie. It's Carolina blue.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in other colors, but I think the Carolina blue is the best one. But
Yes.
if you like something else, go ahead and grab you two or three. Grab one for your mistress. That works as well. And if you're like me, and you enjoy, a nice cold beverage
Mm-hmm.
for this Black History Month, add a little flavor to your beverage. Add a little flavor to your beverage. Get yourself an Under the Hood water bottle. It's something you can carry around with you. You can drop it. You can do whatever you want to do to it. It's almost indestructible. And the great thing about it is that your beverage will stay cold, around the clock. So it's something that you want to have in your office, in your home, in your gym. Get yourself an Under the Hood water bottle.
And there's something else too. You have something else there?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna save the best for last. Give me a second. Save the best for last.
Beg your pardon.
So right here, this is my favorite right here, because why it's my favorite is that when I got this tumbler, my tumbler came with wads of cash rolled up with a rubber band around it, just like the old folks do. Now, I can't guarantee your tumbler will come with wads of cash, but get you a couple, it just may. The great thing about this is, you get your morning coffee, your morning tea, you can put that in there, and that's perfectly fine if you're that type of guy or gal. But if you're like me and you want to add a little flavor to your morning, sprinkle a little whiskey, sprinkle a little bourbon, a little vodka, drink of your choice inside of here, and have yourself a better morning. So get yourself the Under the Hood tumbler. Now,
yes,
this is Hood's favorite, and this had to be washed to get the smell away from it recently.
yes.
The infamous Under the Hood T-shirt, my lucky T-shirt. So get yourself a couple, get your kids, get your wife, get your girlfriend, whoever in your life you love, get them one of these. It's something that, you can use it, wash it, and many times it comes out looking really great. So get yourself the Under the Hood T-shirt. I got myself one. You should get yourself one too. It's a lucky shirt as well. Just
a lot of creases in that T-shirt, by the way. It looks like your bedroom from the last woman that was in it. That's what it looks. That's what it looks.
Well, you do the best you can. You do the best you can.
And by the way, cousin Wiley always does the best he can. All the time, everybody. Always does the best he can. Rocky, it's not your time yet. Rocky trying to get into the show. Rocky, it's not your time until the end of the show. Our show mascot, the dog, is trying to stick his beak into it, but it's not his time yet. So yesterday, Cuzzo, before we get into the Bulls, and I know that's why many people are here to hear us rant about the Bulls and their inactivity. Last night, for those that are listening for the first time on the voice of the UIC Flames, my 12th year working with the UIC Flames basketball team, we finally broke through 8-game losing streak. We finally broke through. We beat Illinois State yesterday in Normal. And, from the south side, it's about 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2:15, which is a little traffic. So made my way down, called the game with the great Kenny Williams. We won the game, and I said, well, if I'm going to be in bed by midnight, I need to step on it. We did the post-game show, talked to Coach Yaklich. It was great. So the sign says 70. Sign says 70, and that's fine. But you want to make up suggestion. Yeah, it's suggested 70, but you want to make up some time. So I step it on it, a little 80, a little 85, maybe as high as 90 miles an hour. It's fine. But then you get around between Normal and Chicago. So I'm thinking somewhere in the midway part, started seeing some cops on the side. So, you got to just clamp it down a little bit, bring it down a little bit. Let's idle it down to about a good 75. That's good enough. And so I'm going past, and I feel like, okay, I passed this guy up. You know how this works. You see a cop on the side, like a mile, maybe a mile and a half down, depending on your eyesight. You're like, yeah, let me idle this down a little bit so I don't get caught. So I'm going the speed limit, maybe a little bit above. And I'm thinking I passed him up 3-4 miles down. All of a sudden, there's disco lights behind me. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? I get pulled over. I have no idea where I am. Because even on the navigation, it did not show what city I was in. So I could not even identify where I was. All I know is that I was in the darkness. That's all I know is it's darkness and nothing else. No red lights flash in the background. No lights anywhere, just dark over to the right side. And I said, well, this is when it ends, everybody. I said, I hope everybody will enjoy our last podcast together in memoriam. This will be all for JHood and Cousin Wiley. So the guy comes over, and I parked a little bit into the road because I didn't know that straight trooper wasn't going to walk into the road. He went to the right side over by the gravel, by the side, taps on the window with the flashlight, taps on the window with the. And when he starts doing that, I go, uh-oh. If he's going to tap on the window with the flashlight, might get a little hairy. Roll down your window, sir. And I rolled the window down. And he leans in and says, do you know, with the flashlight, man, he's got the light right in there. He's got it right there. And he goes, let me ask you a question, sir. Do you know why I pulled you over? No, sir. I'm not sure why you pulled me over. He goes, I pulled you over because your lights in the back are not on. I mean, your brake lights. Is there something wrong there? Do you have a switch off? Now, he comes in on intimidating with the big light where you can't even see his face, right? Big, tight light right on top of you. And I'm just like, no, I don't know why you pulled me over. And he talks about the lights in the back. Because I swear on everything, I knew it was going to be the speeding. I thought he caught that smoke. He caught me. And I'm like, okay. And by the way, guilty as charged. I'm trying to make up time, right?
Right.
Ultimately, you know what it is. Because it is a race between you and Waze, or you and what's on your dashboard. You'll arrive at your destination by 11:47. Nah, I bet you I can beat that.
Right.
Nah, NA8. Nah, I bet you I can beat 11:47. How about 11:35?
Right.
And so because the map on your phone or the Waze or what's on your dashboard says, no, you'll be home at 11:47. Nah, I bet you I'll make it home in 7 minutes or 10 minutes before that. Watch this. Right? So you want to beat the timer because everything's a race. Everything is a competition. The guy says, let me get your license and your insurance card. So I give it to him. He goes, I'll be right back. Because I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm getting a ticket because I don't have my lights on. He comes back. He goes, do you have a switch off over there? And it's like I had it switched off instead of on auto. So that way when I get in the car, everything comes on. I don't know, man. I'm an old man. I don't know how that was switched off. But the idea that he tracked me down 5 miles to tell me that my lights were off and I got away with a warning, that's a blessing right there because it could have went the other way. A ticket or something else?
Well, it's hold on. Oh, it's it's Black History Month.
Oh, gee. Oh,
So
oh my God.
so you got to pass, because it's Black History Month. So I'll be honest, as when I was younger, getting pulled over, getting harassed by the police was like almost, it felt like a weekly thing.
Yes.
Even though I wasn't actually like committing. Yeah, I saw that picture. Yeah, that was we all know that look right there.
Yes, a real thing. I'm tired too. I'm like, those disco lights in the back. Nothing like a good disco light. Go ahead.
I've been fortunate though a lot recently, except I guess sort of once. I've gotten pulled over, and the guy pulls me over, and he said I had a headlight out.
Yeah.
He's like, "Sir, I pulled you up, let you know your headlights out." And he says to me, he said, thank you for being a responsible gun owner." And I'm like, "What the hell does that mean? Like, what?" I say thanks, because he's pulling off, but I'm like, what was the point of? Okay, what was the point of that? Okay, no hood. I run a light before.
Yeah.
The police run a light right behind me. I missed them. They didn't pull me over. I was like, hold on. So when I ran the light, I'm like, okay, they're going to pull me over because I saw them after I ran the light. I was like, oh shit, they're right behind me. They just ran the light with me, and just kept going. I was like, oh, okay. I felt like Ice Cube that day. Like today's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
But recently or last year, I'm going to pick my daughter from one of my daughters up from college.
Yeah.
So this is before the thing in May. So I'm going to get her. She has finals this week, so I had called her in advance, like, hey, you know what? She tells me, she says that I put my stuff in storage. I was like, oh shit, I gotta come. You can, I'm like, you want me? I can get you a ticket. You can catch a flight. And she's like, no, that's okay. And I'm like trying to, I don't want to upset her because it's finals week, and I don't want to, cause her to have any problems. So I'm like, okay. And I threw it out there again, like a day later. It's like, hey, I don't know if you changed your mind, but if you actually want to get on the plane, I looked online right now. They still have a couple of flights available. I can book your ticket. Just let me know. It's no big deal at all. So she's like, okay, I'll let you know. So before I have to go again, I asked her. She still says no. So I'm driving out. But I had to drive back right away because usually I stay for like a day or so, and then I'm able to rest up and get back. But I got to do a 24-hour ride because we got to get back for the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have someone ride down there with me. Hood, we're in the car, and she has her phone. Hood, the font on her phone is about size 45. I say, but she doesn't wear glasses.
Yeah.
So I say, why the letters on your text so big? So I can see. I was like, oh shit, you can't drive my car because if you can't see that shit, what are you going to see in front of you? So we're driving. We get past. We're going through Ohio at this point.
Yeah.
It's night. I'm not even speeding because whatever. I'm like probably going. I got it on cruise control pretty much at the speed limit. So not speeding. So I'm not even worried about getting pulled over for speeding. But I pull over, lights come on. He comes out. He says, sir, do you know I pulled you over? I wanted to say because I have Illinois plates. But I was like, I don't know. He was like, sir, sort of like you. He's like, sir, your plate light is out. I said, oh.
Wow.
Thanks for letting me know my plate light is out. It wasn't, Hood. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't, but I was playing along because I'm in the middle of nowhere to Ohio. So it's like, It is. I'm like, thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate that. He was like, yeah, where you guys heading? And I'm like, just going for a ride. It's none of his fucking business where we're heading. Like you're trying to track me. You're trying to track. Just going for a ride. Oh, okay. All the way from Illinois. Yeah. Family. Okay. Well, I'm not going to write you a ticket. But I gotta give you a warning. So he took my license. He was back in like a couple minutes. Gave me the warning. I was like, that made no fucking sense at all. But that was the only time I can say recently, probably in the last 15, 20 years, that I've been pulled over and they haven't like been beyond nice, or in one guy's case, thank me for being a responsible gun owner for, I have no idea why, but it was like, okay, all right, appreciate it.
That's okay. That's just bizarre. They're just curious. Want to know why are you driving through there? And your only help that you have in that spot is Dave Chappelle. Because he lives there.
Right.
He lives in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. And you know what? Knowing Dave, he wouldn't help you either.
No.
So that's the problem. LeBron doesn't live there anymore, and Dave Chappelle, who lives there, would not help you. So there it is. And so we ask you to put your comments in, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitch. Leave your comments, and we'll read your comments throughout our podcast here for JHood and Cousin Wiley. The question that we are asking you is, have you had any issues with the police? Do you have a funny story like Cousin Wiley there, where his license plate light is on, but yet the officer says it's off? It's not like Wiley's going to get out of the car and check. So there's that. And of course, me yesterday, because all I'm thinking is, oh man, I'm not going to get any rest for this morning show. This is all she wrote. This is it, but everything was all good though, because it's on me. I did not have the auto light on. I had it off. And I'm thinking, I got my headlights on, but there's a different switch for the lights in the back. So it's all good. It's all good. So we want your stories, by the way. Put it in the comments, your funny occurrences or odd occurrences with the police. Sir, this is as obvious as the nose on your face. You knew, Wiley, that we would come together. This is why we're doing this on Thursday. My schedule's been a little crazy, but this is the perfect time for us to be on here post the NBA trade deadline, because I knew that on Thursday when we came together here to do the show that we wouldn't have anything to talk about with the Bulls. How is it that you can go 30 months without making a trade involving a player? The last trade that was made is August 2021 with this regime, when they traded Lauri Markkanen for Derrick Jones Jr. and a future second-round pick. How is it that you're still a general manager in the NBA when you haven't made a deal? Now, again, you don't make a deal for deal's sake. My point is, though, is that you cannot sit there for 30 months and do nothing, like the Maytag repairman, just sitting there because you're not getting a call because Maytag is so good. That's the old commercial. The guy would just sit there because no one would call him because Maytag was so great. Same thing with the Bulls. How can you just sit there and look over the last 30 months and say, no, we don't need any upgrades by the time we get to the deadline, we're fine? That's just bullshit. And for Michael Reinsdorf to allow that to happen, I wanted us to even know. He knows that he has a full stadium at the United Center. And by the way, I'm the last guy on the radio on ESPN Chicago over the years that says, don't boycott, that says boycott the team. Don't be around the Bulls. They don't care. But what I'm telling you is that the bottom line seemingly is that Michael Reinsdorf sees the last game against Minnesota and sees a sold-out crowd, and that the Bulls are number one in attendance again, and says, you know what? That's good enough for me. As long as we try to keep the lights on for the first round of the playoffs or that play-in game, that's good enough. That should not be good enough. So, I blame Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley, but I blame Michael Reinsdorf as well. So you're not going to do anything. You're not going. So you don't have any type of gumption as an owner to ask your general manager and your president of basketball operations, hey guys, doing anything lately? How can you be in that office and not do anything?
So, Hood, as you know, and there's a lot of people who know, Jerry Reinsdorf is someone who I revere as a fan. I know he's not popular in Chicago, but for me as a fan, the first championships that I remember, I was alive for the Bears, but I don't really have a memory of that at that time. But the first 7 championships I remember were from teams that he was the chairman of. So that highest high as a fan, I experienced 7 of those, the first 7 because of him. So like I can't break bad on him, Uncle Jerry, but his son, it's an entirely different story.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you a decision that Michael Reinsdorf has made that I was like, oh, that's really good. Since he's been giving more control of the Bulls, like almost everything he's touched has turned to shit. Like even something as simple as the Ring of Honor, like that was done in the most incompetent way. So when we fast forward today to the trade deadline, we have AK talking about there's a buyer's market, and him being happy with the results since the 4-15 start or whatever else. And I look at this team, and I'm sure you do, and every other fan does, and you ask the question, where do you expect this team to go? Like, if the goal isn't winning championships, what are you doing it for? And there's no reasonable person that can look at this roster right now and say this team has a shot in hell at winning the title. So at best, you're playing for a play-in game. That's what you're playing for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing for a play-in game in multiple years, maybe it's time to, take a step back. If you don't want to use a rebuilding word, use a retool. Let's retool some things. And you have some assets that can bring back, at the very least, draft capital. Even if you can't get like some younger players who have some potential, you have players who can bring back draft capital. Caruso probably can net you at least a first round pick. Andre Drummond can net you some draft capital. DeMar DeRozan can definitely help a team down the stretch. So you can get some assets back for these players. And because continuity is it's the buzzword in Chicago, we have AK coming on telling us like, hey, we're going to keep things in place because it's a fucking buyer's market. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that you look at these players like they're your fucking children? And the idea of unloading these assets, unless you're getting a king's ransom, is something that you can't do. Like, I don't know what buyer's market means for him, especially considering, to your point, he hasn't made a deal since he dumped marketing to be able to bring in Ball and DeRozan. So he hasn't made a deal since then. So what are you doing? What are you doing? This team is going nowhere. The best asset you have right now is Kobe White. And let's be honest, Kobe has been a pleasant surprise this year. He's taken a huge step forward. But if we're looking, if we're forecasting what the type of player he's going to be on a winning team, he's at best your third best player. It's your third best player. On a winning with the winning team, it's your third best player, even with what he's been doing right now. So what are you doing? And I don't know, Hood. Like, so you're close to these guys. Like, you're up there, you're around them, obviously far more than I am. Well, one, have you seen Mark Eversley? Like, is he alive?
Yes, Mark Eversley is alive. Yes, he's there.
Okay. Just check it. I haven't. I needed like proof of life or something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen him in so long.
I put a mirror under his nose. He is breathing.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
But where do you go? Like, where do you go with where they are now? Like, I don't see a path forward at all.
All right, let's address this. Okay. So let's go all the way back to the Zach LaVine deal when it was there on whether or not you should sign Zach LaVine to a full boat contract. And I said at the time, go ahead and do that, but you have to build around Zach LaVine. This whole league, Wiley, is about multiple stars. There are no more Jordans anymore, right? I mean, LeBron's not even LeBron anymore because he always is looking for help, and there's a need for help. It's not about super teams. It's about a support staff, right? It's not, you don't need 5 Hall of Famers to win an NBA championship. That era has passed. However, the Bulls cannot just be this try-hard team. The best try-hard team that we saw was the Thibodeau Bulls because even they were given it limited assets, and Tom Thibodeau was able to get them in a position to win. It was through water and wine and scotch tapes and Elmer's glue to be able to put together a team that would hold teams under 100 points and try and win games ugly with or without Derrick Rose, with Joakim Noah, with Luol Deng, players like that. That was a difficult time for the Bulls, but they tried the best they could to win, despite them not having multiple superstars on the floor. The Bulls are almost trying to do this again with this roster, right? The try-hard Bulls at 24 and 27. Let me just tell you as we record this, this is not good enough, Cuzzo, because the players that you just talked about are all are at the worst second options on a team, and actually at best third options on the team. Kobe White on a very good team would be coming off the bench as a microwave, right? Yeah, on a
Williams
on a team that's in the middle, like maybe starts, maybe not. But Patrick Williams, a guy again, he's out now because of injury. He's just coming into his own. Would not start for teams. Vucevic on a good team may start, but not have the same impact he even has with this Bulls team. He walks in the gym with a double-double. But for me, it's not about how many he scores, it's about when he scores. Is he in the fourth quarter? Is he just a second and third quarter guy? Or is he a contributor, or is he a force? There's a difference between the two, right? And so the same thing with Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is a Swiss Army knife that can help any contender. Whatever you need, coach, dive on the floor, knock out loose balls, defend the best guy that has the ball in his hands, take it to the basket, control the offense as a point guard, whatever you need. You need more players like that in the league that can be able to be that guy on the team that can do that. And Kobe White is the most improved player in the league. I don't know if he's going to win the award or not, but he deserves it because we had already put aside Kobe White and was like, yeah, he's not it. But the Bulls had no other choice. And so Kobe worked on in the summer, and now it's like a go-to guy. Imagine the Bulls without him. That's what you look at now with Kobe White. So what I'm telling you is that here at the deadline, the Bulls should have picked the lane, and the lane should have been for them to trade off some of their assets. But this is who the Bulls are. When I heard about continuity and the goal is to try to get to the playoffs, that's not the goal. The goal is to win a championship. If you watch Connor Shelvis today in this press conference, I watched the entire thing, and I shouldn't have been this upset, but I was just like, I was listening carefully. Dude, are you going to say championship at all? I mean, right. As a general manager, if you're not trying to go for a championship or find a way to a championship, then why are you in the chair? Unless you're just dead on your ass like Detroit, right, where you're trying to build towards something. But for Connor Shelvis, he talks about continuity, how we love our group, and that we're just trying to get to the playoffs. Well, you know what? Then your vision is Michael Reinsdorf's vision, because Michael Reinsdorf's vision is Full House, the Benny the Bull popcorn trick, the halftime show, and a full house because it's great for bread and circuses. It's great for families. Whether the Bulls win or lose, it's just an entertainment product. Well, it's got to be more than that. You're an NBA franchise. There's those numbers in the rafters, and those championships in the rafters meant that there was a championship pedigree. Do you not care about that anymore? If you're a Bulls fan, or if you're in the Bulls front office, where's the championship pedigree? We like our continuity. We like our group. We think that we can get to the playoffs. Like, come on, man. You're talking to us, diehard Bulls fans or NBA aficionados. We know you standing still is bullshit. And it's abuse of power for him to be in that job and not being able to do something. Pick a lane, add on, strip it away, but standing still and propping up 14-9 last year in the last few games of the season and getting to the play-in is not a sales job for us. I would never tell somebody, hey, man, don't go to the games. I've never been a boycott guy when it comes to being a fan or a broadcaster. I've never said, don't go to the games. It's, they're bullshitting you. Don't do that. I've never done that. But I can understand why a fan, and I've been seeing this on social, like, we're going to boycott the Bulls. Well, you know what? If you want to, you should, because you're not getting a return on your investment as a fan. What you're doing is you're paying for money, you're paying for the Connect jersey, you're paying for all this, and you're not getting a return on your investment as a fan. You're not getting anything back for for your hard-earned money and how you feel as a Bulls fan? Nothing.
And,
What is
to
it?
me, that's
What is
that's to me that's the unfortunate part. It is, because I look at it and I say, you know what? I understood. I didn't like the Zach LaVine extension, but I understood it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we made it. Now what? And it was like his AK's vision, Mark Eversley's vision, when they started with Lonzo Ball. It was like after that there was no plan B, and I didn't think that was a bad roster makeup, But when Ball got injured, where's the adjustment? And I hate looking back as a fan at drafts and say, okay, well, we picked this guy. We could have picked that guy. And the guy who got picked after is a stud, and we were hoping that a bench player could develop into some Kawhi-like type of player. And it hasn't happened yet. So I don't see a vision. I don't see any vision. I see someone who is generally managing or running an organization to retain their job. And maybe there's some demand from management, like if you don't make the playoffs, you're out. So let's figure out a way to make the playoffs. But if we are forcing ourselves to, try hard for a play-in game, not with a young roster, not with an up-and-coming roster, because you can see into the future, but with an old roster whose best days were 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how we change this. Like even with the Bears, you can see light at the end of the tunnel. As we talked before, I see nothing. I see darkness. And for one of my favorite teams, there are days I'm like, I don't even want to watch this shit. Like, what am I doing? Like, what are we doing? Okay, great game, great comeback by Kobe White, great play down the stretch. That's fine. But then you look at and you're like, what's the reality of this? We're not going anywhere. Like, this isn't a winning ball club. Like, the idea of buyers or sellers market should not matter when you have assets that are depreciating. Like, there are players right now on our roster who will never be more valuable than they are today.
So you know that DeRozan's contract's up here. So
it
you're
is.
going to let him walk for nothing?
Well, I think he wants to come back. So I think he'll get like some sweetheart deal. I thought that from Vooch, and I thought, like even last year, like just let Vooch go. And
that's not happening, Wiley. Like there's no.
I know.
No, I'm telling you that's not right about DeRozan. DeRozan's not returning on a sweetheart deal because there's no more sweetheart deals in the NBA. He's going to go to a contender.
Well, I think he's returning, but I think he's returning because here's why. I'll tell you why. I think he loves Chicago, and I think AK loves this team like he loves, like you or I would love our kids. So I think he views it as, he's going to get him a really good deal. He's going to take care of him. He's going to take care of him like he took care of Vooch. He's going to give him a nice contract to stay here for a couple more years because he loves the city. I don't see that as a winning play. That's why if you're asking me what I had unloaded to DeRozan this year, absolutely. I would have unloaded Vooch last year. So we would be down to Zach. As far as long-term contracts that you need to find a way out of, last year I think I heard someone was offering, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, multiple first-round picks for Caruso. I would have drove Caruso to whatever city that was. Whatever city that wanted him for multiple first-round picks, I would have drove him there. You can have him. So, again, I'm looking at the roster. I'm looking at short-term, long-term, and all I see is at best playing games. At best playing games. Because, let's be honest, Zach, does a lot of light skin shit. So when Zach comes back, he's going to get injured. He's going to get injured again. So, you're not unloading Zach. Zach is going to be on our team until someone scrapes him off the bench, not the floor, the bench. He's going to. That's all he's going to do. Like he has an owie and he has to sit out, multiple games. His wife or girlfriend looked at him wrong. He has to miss time. That's light skin shit. Like we can't have.
All right.
You can't max out that type of player.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your analysis on that, sir. Thank you. All right. So we see, this is what I'm talking about here. So now, okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. So now you want
softness.
No, you want to lay that out?
Just soft.
Yeah, Mark, let me just say for our audio audience, Mark is asking, what is light skin shit? And so now you have to express that. As an African American, please tell everybody what light skin shit is. Please go ahead.
So as a black,
had such a great career.
It is someone who is, generally perceived as like soft and charming. So it's like an inside joke in the community, where someone like Hood and myself, it's dark complexion. There's some level of toughness that we associate with our complexion, and someone who is light skinned, it's a little softer, a little delicate, a little Zach Lavini, and so yeah, it's more of a joke. It's nothing that's serious, but it's like an inside baseball thing that I wanted to share.
Yes.
On Hood's podcast, so he can get called into the office tomorrow in question about my use of light skin shit. I thought he would appreciate that.
Yes, and we're getting a reaction to that comment, and so there you have that from Ish Williams saying Redbone guys. Is that what you're referring to? Is that
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that lesson, by the way. And by the way, you didn't have to tune into PBS to find out what that meant. You heard it right here on Under the Hood. You need to put on Channel 11 to find out what that. Thank you very much.
The more you know.
Yes, thank you for setting us back 100 years with that. Now, we turn now to the Chicago Bulls and what they need to do. Like, being on point here about this, the whole thing of just trying to figure out how to fix this thing. You fix it by picking a lane. Listen, I know the Bulls will never be the Oklahoma City Thunder because with this regime, you have to fire them at some point or
right.
For their inactivity, if nothing else. I understand if you made bad choices like Paxton Gard did at times as a general manager, but the idea that you're just sitting idly by and not doing anything, that's the reason for change. This is going to be a team in transition here pretty soon because DeRozan will not be here next year. So I know Wiley's trying to prop him up and fluff him up like he's going to come back here for $35,000. But that's not happening. Okay, so that's not happening. Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball may not play basketball again. So the reason why you have all these plates spinning is that you have to be able to pick a lane. I love what the Thunder has done. Thunder's got 7,000 picks, and they're in first place. How did that happen? They weren't any good, and all of a sudden they stuck with it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they have Josh Giddey, and they've got a lot of young assets and a lot of draft capital to trade if they need to.
Yes.
But let me just make sure it's clear. The Bulls are not that. The Bulls are not that. And so because they're not smart enough, they're not crafty enough to be able to say, we will settle and go down in the draft and pick it in free agency and try to rebuild this Bulls team because they're just not smart enough to do that. I want to make sure that it's very clear. The Chicago Bulls have a long mountain to climb. Connor Shelvis in his press conference said, well, all the teams are jumbled up in the bottom of the East, so we still have a chance. We're 15 games out, and so the Pacers and the Heat and the Magic and the Bulls and the Hawks are in the same situation. If that's what you are banking on, if that's the selling point to Bulls fans, well, you know what? We're jumbled up with 4 or 5 other teams. Then you're already lost, right? You already know what you're doing. Compare yourself to the Hawks and the Magic and the Heat. The Magic, by the way, that the Bulls built. The reason why the Magic
Oh, of course.
because of the Vucevic trade. So all I'm telling you is that it is outrageous that Carnegie sat there with questions from Joe Cowley and Westerlin and Mike McGraw and all the really good beat reporters covering this Bulls and NBA team. And they're peppering him with obvious questions. And my guy, Darnell Mayberry, asking good questions about the Bulls and saying, so you keep preaching continuity and you keep saying that this team is good as is and they're going to make a run. What makes you think they're going to make a run? And he goes back to 14-9 last year. Well, the reason why you're in the business, Wiley, is to win a championship.
Yes.
If you're in the business just to make the playoffs or to play in, then you don't have a plan, right? You can't not be looking at Zach LaVine's contract and say, well, we can't do anything because we paid Zach all this money, so we got nothing else to do. Zach's been hurt 3 times now since you paid him the money. And when you had an opportunity to trade him, they did not trade him. You saw these stories as of a month ago that Zach LaVine, and I told you from my sources that the only suitor for the Bulls was the Detroit Pistons. You recall this, right?
Yes.
The Detroit was the only suitor because the only way the money would match is the Pistons. And so the Bulls could take some of their young assets, but instead, no, Detroit trades with New York, and now the Knicks won the trade deadline Thursday. They won the trade line because they're improved. They got better, and the Bulls stood still.
And I guess the hope is that, once you have these massive contracts that will come off the books, I guess in 4 years now, you can play free agency. But even with that, like you're projecting 3-4 years out, hoping for free agency. What about you build teams through the draft? And if you're just going to be a middling team, you're never going to draft high enough to get an impact player. So tearing it down, and ensuring yourself a top, 3 or 4 pick, by doing so makes more sense. Now, obviously this year, you don't have generational talent in this draft, but having a generational talent or just having a potential star makes more sense. So when you're picking in the middle of the draft, when you're picking 15th, what are you doing with that? What are you doing? And when AK came in, like I'm a Pax guy. I hated guard. I'm a Pax guy. I saw Pax build a team where every year, regardless of where he picked at worst, he got an NBA contributor. He got a guy who could play, a decent amount of minutes in the NBA. And the Bulls at that point was picking late in the draft. You were getting your Taj Gibsons. You're getting your Jimmy Butlers. And even when he was picking early in the draft, you had your Luol Deng. You could look at the draft and say, okay, he missed on his pick other than Tyrese Thomas. You couldn't look and say he missed that. But even missing with Tyrese Thomas helped us get Derrick Rose. So it worked out in the end. But when you get the Gar Formans, the Mark Eversley, the AKs come in, and you look at the draft hits, I can't see one. I don't see one. I don't see someone. I guess Kobe White now, but it took a while. But was Kobe White the last Gar pick, or was that AK's first pick? I can't remember.
I think that's a Gar pick.
So I don't see one from this regime. So what do you have? Like, what do you have? We're going to be in basketball hellhood until the 30s. Like, that just sounds fucking crazy when I say it. We're going to be in basketball hell at least into the 30s with no chance of competing for anything. I just want to tell John Paxson, I'm sorry for all the bad things everyone said about you. I was never one of those people. Please come back. Leave Gar Forman wherever he is, but please come back.
No, let's not do revisionist history. Paxson made his share of mistakes as well. And that's the reason why there was a need for change, because it got stagnant. See, the problem, you say you love John Paxson, but John Paxson is a guy that loved his team, that would not, for you to love John Paxson, this is where Wiley just out of his mind. You love John Paxson, but also the same John Paxson that would not pull the trigger to bring the late Kobe Bryant to the Bulls because he could not part with Luol Deng, and that's it.
Well,
And that, yeah, I
well,
would. Would you not?
you,
Would you rather have in that spot, Kobe Bryant
you,
or Luol Deng?
Uncle Jerry got it. Uncle Jerry got into that deal. Uncle Jerry started to go because he loves the superstars. So when he smelled blood in the water, he was like, "Hey, I got to go in. We got to bring Kobe. Whatever you want, you can have whatever you want." I thought it was more of Kobe saying, "If you give up Dang, then there's nothing left for me to have when I get there. It's just me. So you have to retain someone for me to play with because if I'm coming here, I'm basically leaving. I'm leaving a bad Lakers team and coming to the same bad Bulls team. So don't get rid of Dang."
That's not what happened. That's
okay.
not.
That was my memory of it. So
okay, well that's.
I would have traded. I would have traded.
Wiley, that's not what happened.
I would have possibly given up one of my children for Kobe to come to the Bulls at that time. Don't tell him I said it though. Don't tell him I said it.
I will tell all of them that you said that because that's nonsense. I will tell them all that you said that. That's not. But what you just said there was not true. Like there was that the Bulls that John Paxson, who you love so much, did not want to part with Luol Deng, and that's why the deal didn't happen. How about this? The John Paxson you love so much, when you had the big three in LeBron and Bosh and Wade that came to the United Center and all sat down at the table at the United Center thinking that we could just hang our hat here for 4 or 5 years in Chicago. Imagine how many championships those three would have won. Nah, we would make that deal, but we can't part with Luol Deng. Again, they didn't want to give up assets because they didn't want that. So the John Paxson you love stopped at least 3 Hall of Famers from being in the Chicago Bulls uniform. Now, Wade to the side because Wade was here for a cup of coffee. He was in there just to check out Moo and Oink, making sure that the money was good at Moo and Oink. That's the reason why he stopped here for a minute for a cup of coffee. But the idea that you could have the big three and or Kobe on the team and John Paxson said no, yeah, you can have your John Paxson. Your thoughts, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't think the big three was coming anyway. My memory of that was more of
they came to negotiate.
No.
What are you talking about? What are you saying?
My memory of that Hood was back then before Derrick Rose was Rookie of the Year, but he wasn't the superstar he became the following season. He was a superstar the following season. And my memory of that was Rose wasn't recruiting. Rose is more of a fuck y'all. If y'all want to come, y'all can come. But this is my city. This is my team. And I felt like that fueled the Bulls going forward. Unfortunately, Rose couldn't stay healthy. But I didn't think the Bulls. Here's the truth. I thought the Bulls would have won a championship as is with the healthy Derrick Rose. Maybe not 2-3 championships, but at least one with that team because you had Joakim Noah becoming, not just a great defender, but a decent offensive player. You had Luol Deng, who was just essentially LeBron-like. And you had the scrappy Kirk Heinrich, those guys who, gave you quality minutes. It wasn't like a great team, but with Tibbs at the helm, it was a team who could win. So I know I'm sort of playing revisionist history with some of my rhetoric.
No question.
Looking back from, a decade ago to now, you're like, man, those times were pretty good. Pretty nice times.
Okay. So to refresh your memory, tell me who wins in a 7-game series. And of course, this would all change because you'd add more. But Kobe, who told me when I was working with Sean Salisbury doing a show on ESPN 1000, he told me that he brought his wife and his kids to Chicago to look at schools and was interested in being with the Bulls because of the disconnect that he had with the Lakers organization with
right.
Jerry West's kid. There was a problem there to the point where Kobe's like, I'll leave LA. I'll come to Michael's town. He wasn't scared of Michael's shadow. He wanted to be a Chicago Bull because he wanted to leave the Lakers and shove it up the Lakers' ass. I remember this like it was yesterday because it was my one interview with Kobe. Actually 2, but that's the one I remember. The first interview with him was that. This is when he was talking about how he's interested in the Bulls. It was on the radio. This would have been the team. Kirk Heinrich, Kobe Bryant, Andres Nocioni, Joe Smith, and Ben Wallace at the time. Remember, Ben Wallace was a Chicago Bull. That he wouldn't let him wear his headband. On the other side, you would have had a Laker team that would have had Derek Fisher, Ben Gordon, Luol Deng, and Joakim Noah would have been part of that deal with Lamar Odom. So
I'm taking Kobe every day of the week.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, Joe Smith, people forget how cold that Joe Smith was, right?
Yeah.
Kirk, Nocioni, a player, Ben Wallace is your shot blocker. Now, I'm not saying that the Bulls are winning the championship with Kobe in that spot, because I think even in what year are we talking about here?
2007-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even 2007. So even during that time, the deal would have been Kobe for Ben Gordon, Luol Deng, Tyrese Thomas, and Joakim. That's a lot.
Sign me up.
That's a lot, but at least you're getting Kobe in that spot. And I think that the Bulls add on even more with that. But again, it's Kobe, who wanted to come to Chicago, Nocioni, Ben Wallace, Joe Smith, and Kobe. Did I say them all? Yeah.
I mean, once you have Kobe, you can build around that. Like, you can work with that. That's a start for it's a championship start right there. So I would have rolled with Kobe, and back then once Uncle Jerry gets involved, something big is happening, because he sits on the sideline. He's like, oh shit, Michael Jr. He's coming. All right, let me you do the voice a lot better. I can even try to do it, but he was like, oh shit, let me get in here and start negotiating as well. What do you want? You can have it all.
Yeah.
You can have it all.
Whatever you want. Just whatever kind of soup you want, fish, whatever you want. You be part of the golf course. You got a golf club. You just join us. Kobe Bryant. He's Kobe Bean. I love him. He's great. Even with that Laker team, though, Derek Fisher, Ben Gordon, Luol Deng, Lamar Odom, Joakim Noah. I'm not even sure who the ball goes to the most in that trade, right? I'm not sure. Is that Ben Gordon's team? That obviously, as a Bulls fan, we know that doesn't work.
Yeah. You have some great games, though. Some great highlights, when he gets hot. But that's not championship basketball. But yeah, when Ben Gordon got hot, you had some great highlights, because he could put the ball in the basket, with the best of them when he got hot.
So let's go through some of the chat, and we got to give our predictions for the Super Bowl here. Don't forget, leave your comments, because we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon here. Like, share, subscribe to our podcast as well, JHood and Cousin Wiley. You remember Billy Ocean?
Yes.
Okay, he's with us. Billy Ocean says, I think Carmelo would have put the team over the top. Carmelo chose the money of the Knicks and not come to Chicago. He had his choice.
He listened to his wife. That's what happens when you listen to women.
I didn't want Carmelo here. I wanted Lala Vasquez here. That's what I want. Lala. And let me tell you,
find out how a Cheerios tasted, huh?
God bless you, 50 Cent. God bless you, man. On those
powers. Yes.
And also a little bit on the Shy too. My God, you can actually see Wiley's youth, by the way, on the Shy. As you can see his youth. Just watch one of the characters there, and you can see Wiley right there with Lala Vasquez. It's pretty good. So Carmelo wanted to stay with the Knicks. He wanted that money, because he had a choice. It was close, Chicago or New York. It came down to those two teams, and he chose to stay with the Knicks because he said he wanted to win. Actually, Carmelo on the Bulls to take on LeBron and the Cavs, much closer to being able to get past the Cavs with Melo on the team. So
I agree.
Billy is right about that. I love this, by the way. This is a new acronym, with Mark Eversley and our Tourist Car Show is Acme now.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
From the cartoons.
I like that.
AKME. It's no C. It's just AKME is Garpax 2.0. And actually, you know what? When you break it down, Billy, it's actually worse.
Yes.
Actually, here's where Wiley's right. If you had your druthers, you probably would choose Pax and Gar over what you have right now, because even with the ineptitude in the draft or free agency that Pax had from time to time and Gar, at least they didn't stand still. They made moves. They had some misses in the draft. They did well in the draft at times, but yeah, they're actually worse than Gar Pax. Ish Williams says, yeah, Deng would have been gone. Yeah. Like this cousin of mine is like trying to prop up Luol Deng. And I'm like, no, that was the holdup of all of this.
I would have drove Deng to the airport for Kobe, though. Kobe is my favorite basketball player of all time. So I would have driven Deng to the airport. I would have driven him to, what was he? And he was from Sudan. I would have flown in the plane with him to Sudan to drop his ass off. Wherever he needed to go, I would have helped him get there to bring Kobe here. So, there's no question.
You want Deng to be here if you're John Paxson and Gar Forman. You almost killed him. You do recall this, the
yes.
bad surgery, the spinal fluid, that was terrible.
So Hood, I know I joke about the light skin thing, but is it possible that Zach LaVine was injured because of the Bulls trainer's incompetence?
Okay.
Because for whatever reason, I love Uncle Jerry, but for whatever reason, over the past 15, 20 years, his training staff has been known to injure his players. Not sure why that happens just to this team right here, but they punctured fucking Deng's lung. How do you do that? Hood, I've never stuck a needle in anyone in my life, but I imagine if you gave me a needle, I would know how to avoid his fucking lung. How do you do that? So, I mean, that is, to me, that's insane. But, that's maybe you need to invest a little bit more into the training staff. Where's what's the young guy who used to be the Bulls trainer back in the day?
Mark Feil or
Chip Schaefer?
Chip Schaefer also, yeah.
Yeah, let's bring Chip Schaefer in. What is he doing now? Let's bring him on staff and help these guys not kill themselves.
Ish Williams says that Gordon and Kobe are the same player. Talking about Kobe White and Ben Gordon.
I can see that. But I think when Ben Gordon got hot, there was no score in the game that was better than him when he got hot. He could score with the best of them when he got hot.
Would you like to read that from Mark on the bottom there?
So Mark says, so his training staff is on their light skin shit. That's possible. That's a great point, Mark. That's a great point. I can't disagree with that at all. That's a great point.
Okay. We turn on now to the Super Bowl right here. And by the way, leave your comments because we'll be wrapping up after our Super Bowl thoughts here. So this is an interesting Super Bowl to me, Cuzzo, because we have San Francisco and Kansas City, and it's a tale of two stories. The one story is that we talk about light skin power. There is Patrick Mahomes. It seems like he's doing very well in his skin.
Yes.
His dad, maybe not so much, but he's doing just fine. Thank you. Here's why you give Patrick Mahomes credit, and this is why I can rebuff your old wives' tale, your old myth about in your colorism, is because Patrick Mahomes, with all the stuff around him, his wife, whatever you think of his wife, his old man who was arrested again for a DUI, his jackass brother Jackson, right? But yet there's a focus there from Patrick Mahomes that does not melt with the pressure. There's a lot of stuff going on in his life, but he finds a way to win ball games. He goes, my dad, he's a mess. My wife, my brother, and it's fine. And he finds a way. He finds a way to be able to come through and win games. And so we're looking at one of the greatest. I don't like the whole the feeling of flavor of the month, or taking an opinion and just riding with it because it's new and fresh. We've seen a body of work here from Patrick Mahomes where it's hard to bet against him, especially this year when the Kansas City Chiefs have been built pretty much on defense and a lot of drop passes by the offense. Somehow, some way, the Chiefs have found a way to get back in this spot. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes because this team hasn't been great, but they've found a way so far.
So despite Patrick Mahomes being a light-skinned brother, I think he's an anecdote to that. He's a phenomenal player. We talk all the time, and I'm like, hey, I wouldn't bet against Patrick Mahomes. He's like Tom Brady to me now, where when he's in a game, even if the odds are stacked against him, you kind of expect him to find a way to win. We heard that, Patrick Mahomes was struggling on the road to win because he's played his first 15 playoff games at home, so he's going to have a hard time winning. And then all he did was go in to Buffalo, beat that ass, went to Baltimore, hearing the defense talk about they're the greatest of all time, and then he beat that ass in the first half enough where he could take the second half off and rest. So I think it's hard when you watch the game, when you watch the Chiefs, even with the lack of talent offense, to say who can win that, they can lose the game. But I'm going against what I normally say. I would go against what I normally say. Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. This game, I am. I'm betting that Kyle Shanahan can finally stop pissing himself in big games. I'm betting that a more talented 49ers team can beat Patrick Mahomes, because that's really what it boils down to. I don't think Brock Purdy is Jimmy Garoppolo, where when things get tight, he's going to piss himself. When he's up 10 points in the fourth quarter, he's going to wet the bed. I don't think that's going to happen with Brock Purdy. So I think having a kid who, for now, appears to be somewhat fearless when it matters can help the 49ers overcome Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is still going to be looking to do that alone. And I think the 49ers defense and their offense is great enough where they can beat an inferior Chiefs team. So while I would normally say don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, in this case, I'm betting that the 49ers have enough to overcome him alone.
I will say that there's been a lot of disparaging comments against Brock Purdy because he is this quote-unquote system quarterback. Well, I will just say that every quarterback that we see is in a system. They're all system quarterbacks because it's an offensive system. I know that people will look at that and think, system quarterback, you mean like Trent Dilfer with that strong defense from the Ravens in 2000? Even Trent Dilfer ran a system. It may not have been aesthetically pleasing. It might have been just color by the numbers offense, but he was able to get yardage and running game and touchdowns, and they found a way to win games because you can't win with defense alone. You could try, but you can't win every game like Buddy Ryan used to do back in the days. The coach of the Eagles, win every game 7-6. You just can't do that because you got a strong defense. So what I would say is that I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes again. I'm just not doing it. I did it twice here in the postseason, just to admit it to you, Cuzzo, because I mean, look at him. You're on the road. He just laid it out. You're on the road, big spot. You don't think that he can be able to get the job done, and they find a way. And so I just think that this is, again, the year for Mahomes and this Chiefs team. Neither team can really stop the run very well on the defensive side of the football. And I know that San Francisco's got a lot of weapons. McCaffrey's one of them. Is running the football well. Ayuk, they got a number of weapons that for Purdy. But here's the thing about Purdy. You may not be impressed by Purdy, but when he's got to be able to make a play in the fourth quarter, we've seen this. People are looking at him like he's supposed to. This is the problem with sports. A young person comes on the scene, and you expect him to be Joe Montana right from the rip. Same thing with basketball players. That's a big problem too. The whole thing of when you get out of the, you come out of the draft, or if you're on the scene, you're supposed to be already Michael Jordan, and that's not fair. What I'm saying is that Brock Purdy is doing a good job managing the game, not trying to turn it over, doing exactly what Shanahan says, trying to be disciplined with the football. That's what we're seeing. But I just think the guy that's on our screen right now, Patrick Mahomes, will find a way because until you beat that guy, it's hard to beat. Even when
people
go ahead.
Tom Brady is Tom Brady had his number. But yeah, it is. But I think like the Brock Purdy stuff to me doesn't make sense. I think we may have had this conversation offline. I look at a guy like Justin Herbert, who everyone says is a really talented player, and he is. He has elite traits. But when a game matters, Justin Herbert's going to piss himself. Mm-hmm. So what does it matter that your elite traits that you have? Because look at their roster. Look at the Chargers roster offensively compared to the 49ers. It's comparable. So, but somehow Brock Purdy finds a way to get it done in critical moments, and Justin Herbert pisses himself in critical moments. So if you're asking me, would I take the guy who's more talented or the guy who I can rely on when it matters? I want the guy I can rely on when it matters. Give me that guy, because when things get tight, I don't have to change his diaper. So Harbaugh's over there trying to change Herbert's diaper right now. Where Shanahan finally has a guy who doesn't wet the bed when it matters. So I think that's the difference. And then we talked about this, I think, last podcast, where you had the Ravens rushing the ball 8 times, despite the Chiefs having a poor run defense. I don't think McCaffrey's going to have just 8 rushing attempts. I think they're going to shove the ball down the Chiefs' throat until they can stop it. And then they're going to play action it, and find some big plays over the middle with Purdy. So I think from the scheme standpoint, you don't have the incompetence of a Baltimore coach or a Baltimore system, or even the bad wedding of a Josh Allen, in the fourth quarter. You won't have that, I think, this time around. So again, I've said it all playoffs. Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I think this may be the exception to that. But I think it's going to be a great game, and Chris Berman's probably pissed off because the Blacks won't be the quarterbacks of the Super Bowl. Last year he was really excited about the Blacks quarterback in the Super Bowl. So, hopefully Chris Berman will, figure out how to, get over that and enjoy what should be a great game.
Mark says San Francisco 24, Kansas City 23. Purdy with the MVP. I say that with zero confidence because of Mahomes.
Yes.
And he goes along with the line. I mean, he gave you the great points of like Purdy, MVP, all that. Kansas City is a 1.5 point underdog. That's how close it is in the over-under 4.5. So I'm riding with Kansas City. I'm going to take Kansas City plus 1.5, and I will take the over in the game, over 47.5 points. Here's something here from Ish Williams saying there's a lot of shaky quarterbacks today in the NFL. Shaky quarterbacks.
Yes.
All right. Ready to go for this list? Shaky quarterbacks. Josh Allen.
Yes.
Shaky?
Yes.
I mean, maybe he turns the ball over too much, but I mean, up and coming quarterback. Lamar Jackson, shaky. Joe Burrow, she's shaky.
Not Burrow.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I mean, not Lamar Jackson.
No, not Lamar.
Not Lamar Jackson, not C.J. Stroud.
Not C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
Not Brock Purdy.
No. Right, exactly.
I have Justin Herbert. I have Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Wetters.
Okay.
I have Dak.
Right.
I have Dak Cousins.
Okay, well,
I have to put them together. They're the same player. I have Dak Cousins. Bad Wetters. Who else from this year's playoffs? I don't know about Jordan Love. I hate to say Jordan because of the Bulls. I don't know about Love yet. I don't know if he's a bad wetter. Hurts. I don't think Hurts is a bad wetter. He showed last year he can come up when it mattered. I don't know if there are a lot. I think there were some really overhyped quarterbacks, who when it mattered, pissed themselves. And David Carr's one too. But I don't think anybody really cared much about David Carr. But he's a bad wetter. But of the elite guys, to me, Josh Allen and Justin Herbert stand out the most as guys who piss themselves.
My point is that there's not a lot of shaky quarterbacks in the NFL. There isn't. There's some. The tip of the top is Patrick Mahomes. He's in a category himself. But then you Brock Purdy, and again, he still has to prove it on a big stage. But in the regular season, very solid. Matthew Stafford is not that. C.J. Stroud is not that after his first year.
I agree.
We talk about the Bengals and Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen just turns the ball over too much, but he wasn't the reason why they lost that last game. I mean, he got Stephon Diggs that who wants the ball bad enough, but then drop the football. Like that has to change.
He got lucky too because he fumbled the ball. He fumbled the ball and happened to recover late in the fourth quarter, and he threw a pass that should have been intercepted that wasn't in the fourth quarter. So to me, I saw the same Josh Allen, sweaty Josh things that he would do when the game mattered. He just made enough plays where, and others didn't make plays that you kind of overlooked his normal shakiness, because normally Diggs catches that ball. And you don't think much about it.
You have Jared Goff, you've got Jordan Love, you've got Baker Mayfield, you've got Tampa in the playoffs. So the idea that there's a lot of shaky quarterbacks in the NFL is not. I don't see that being the case. There is at the top, there is a strong middle, and then there's question marks because of rookie veterans are good. Like Geno Smith is. What Geno Smith from Seattle? Just show me again. Like I mean, solid, but just show me again.
And I tip my hat to Jerry Goff. Like, I've been the biggest golf critic. I thought he was the weak link for the Lions, but he played well in the playoffs. So I can't criticize his performance, his production. He played well all season as well as the playoffs. So my Jerry Goff Reddick I'll tap that down a little bit next season.
All right, Rocky. Bring Rocky in.
Rocky.
It's hot in this room. I'm ready to get out. There's
sit. There we go. Sit. Nope. Sit. Nope.
Rocky,
sit.
What are your thoughts? Rocky, what are your thoughts on the Knicks and what they've done in the trade deadline? Go ahead. Your thoughts.
Ready?
Bogdanovich, now with the Knicks. Tell us about it. Rocky, go ahead.
What do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
You really should do a viral,
Chiefs.
You should do a viral clip, Cuzzo, of 2 dog bowls and see which one to go first. One San Francisco, one Kansas City.
I will.
He stepped off the stage. He never does that.
Yeah. I hit my hands.
Oh my God. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for the hands. Oh geez.
Yes.
All right. Well, for Rocky and for Cuzzo Wiley, this is JHood. Don't forget to catch me weekday morning 7 to 10 on ESPN 1000 and on the ESPN Chicago app. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our video. We appreciate everybody giving their messages, but we want you to be able to join us next week with another edition of JHood and Cuzzo Wiley. And make sure you share out the video and share out the podcast for the Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody. The Blacks signing off.